Hey, everybody, it's Steve here in my hammock, and I've got great news for me at least. I finished Better Call Saul. I finished it just a few days ago. I watched the finality. I did binge watch it. I watched maybe one or two episodes a day, and it was like 60, I think it was like 62 episodes. Listen, let me get right to the point. If you watched Breaking Bad, and you're hesitant to watch Better Call Saul, like I was, I just want to encourage you. Better Call Saul was so good. It's got the same writers, Vince Gilligan, Peter Gould. There's some other writers that are part of that team. And it's like, it's even, in some ways, it's even better. The storytelling. And I just want to say, I was one of those people where I watched Breaking Bad and I felt like a purist where I said, I don't know if I want to watch a prequel about Saul Goodman. And then I was like, well, all these characters that expire in Breaking Bad, we're going to see Gus again and Hector and some other people. And I was like, I don't know. It just seems kind of. Anyway, I waited a month and I had one friend, my trainer's son, Jacob. He told me he loved it. There was another person. Then I was at the Breaking Bad store in Albuquerque. And one of the co-owners, we were talking, he said he really recommended Better Call Saul. So I was like, all right, I like this guy. We had a good talk. So based on that recommendation, I started watching it. And it's an excellent Breaking Bad-ish story. Now, let me just say a few things. For like younger people or people that are looking for a dopamine hit or whatever kind of rush that they got out of Breaking Bad, it's different in Better Call Saul. All right, it's a little quote slower. I'm not sure it's really slow. It is, I guess you could call it slow compared to Breaking Bad, but there's much more character development. There's much more like interactions and dynamics between people. And ultimately, it's a story about a lawyer named Jimmy McGill or James McGill. And I won't give any spoilers, but one obvious fact is you will quickly realize that Saul Goodman has a real name and it's called James McGill. So, or Jimmy, they call him Jimmy. So that's probably like the first thing is it's a story about his life, or at least like how did he become Saul Goodman, this corrupt con man of a lawyer. And here's like the neat thing about Better Call Saul that I was thinking about. And there was one other person on YouTube that had like a little analysis of it. The thing about Better Call Saul is if you've watched Breaking Bad, you already know the fate of Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad. And then also, the writers even give like a future reference to what's going to happen to Saul Goodman too. So it's like, but you don't really know how it all plays out. And it plays the role of like a mystery where you're like, okay, I kind of know how this ends. I know his fate. But then it's like, well, what about all these dynamics? How does he become Saul Goodman? And it's really interesting. It's a different type of show. Most shows, you watch it and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. What might happen here? Even the ending, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen. With Better Call Saul, you kind of know the ending, but there's all sorts of ways that the writers entertain, and I think it's pretty good. I really think it's pretty good. So, and then also, even with the finale, there is an ending that is a mystery until you watch it because you really don't know how the show is going to end. And so, anyway, if you're a Breaking Bad fan and you're resistant to watch Better Call Saul, I'll be honest with you, I think you're missing out. I think you're missing out. And then I have seen comments a little bit on Reddit where people are like, oh, it's too slow. Nothing happens. And I really would encourage you, you got to be patient. be patient. Where's your patience? All right. And I will kind of admit, my first impression from the first 2 episodes of Better Call Saul, when I watched it, 6 weeks ago, my first impression was, okay, it's it felt a little slow. And some of the dynamics was like a little bit like, okay, are we just redoing Breaking Bad here? And I won't get into any of the details. But then after that, I was like, okay, this is its own show. This is about a lawyer in the legal field, and he's trying to make it out in the world. And his name's Jimmy McGill. And anyway, then also just on a practical level, if you love Breaking Bad, you really get to know Mike much better. There's Mike. You get to know Gus, Hector, some of the people in the crime world, the drug dealing world. You definitely get to know people. Then there's some new characters that are definitely engaging. All right. This isn't a spoiler. Jimmy has an older brother named Chuck, and it's kind of interesting to see the dynamics between them. And oh, by the way, if you're into filming locations, Chuck's house is like a short walk from Jesse Pinkman's house. I think it might be like 2 or 3 blocks. I drove right by Chuck's house and I didn't realize it because I was going to Jesse's house, and I did a not too shabby of Jesse's house. And but anyway, Chuck's house is there, so that's pretty neat. And I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but it's like, it's hard to explain. Maybe I'm repeating myself, but Better Call Saul is absolutely its own show in its own right. But because if you've watched Breaking Bad, there's so many things that they either don't have to explain, or it's in the Albuquerque Breaking Bad universe where you know the backstory a little bit. There's some shocking things where you're like, oh my gosh. I can't say it, but anyway, it's all the intermingling between Saul Goodman and the drug crime world and the dynamics of all the people in Jimmy's life. And again, they do an excellent job. By the way, let me say this. The people who made Breaking Bad, you talk about genius, epic storytelling. They had the same writers. So they learned from Breaking Bad, and they have more experience, more knowledge, more expertise. And the storytelling, dare I say, got even better in Better Call Saul. So anyway, that's all I got to say. Let me play. I'll probably have more things to say, but I'm going to play some not too shabby videos I made related to Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. Let's see. First of all, let's see here. First of all, I was just watching Better Call Saul on my couch, and I felt inspired to make this. Watching Better Call Saul. Not too shabby. So it's an abandoned. That's the opening. And then I think I got a book of matches. I bought this at the Breaking Bad store for 50 cents. It's a Better Call Saul book of matches. Not too shabby. It's a Skinny Pete. And then also I got some Breaking Bad not too shabbies. Like, here's Jesse's house. It's Jesse Pinkman's house. Not too shabby. And then, I bought a lunchbox with Skinny Pete, Combo, and Badger. Here it is. It's a Skinny Pete, Combo, and Badger lunchbox. Not too shabby. There you go. It's Jesse Pinkman's house. So I think I got another one. This is both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. It's a Los Pollos Hermanos sticker. Not too shabby. I'm telling you right now, I hope to go back to the Breaking Bad store in the next 6 months. I should be down in Albuquerque. I'm going to buy a Los Pollos Hermanos hoodie. They got them in red. And I should have bought it when I was down there in August. South is that way. That's where Albuquerque is. Anyway, so I'm so excited to go back. And I'm going to buy a Howard candle, Los Pollos Hermanos hoodie. Then I want to get a portrait, like a framed portrait of Gus, maybe a framed portrait of Mike. And I got to have a tribute to Huel. Somehow, some way, I might go to the library and print out a picture of Huel. There's some ideas I've got with Huel, but I got to get something in my house with his smiling face. So, anyway, I think that's all the Nazi Shabbies. I got more. Here's a to-go candle. I bought this at the Breaking Bad store. It's a to-go candle. Not too shabby. It's a Halloween munchie. There you go. Just a few more thoughts, okay? I appreciate you watching, and I'll put timestamps all over. The thing about Better Call Saul, and it's similar to Breaking Bad, is there's so much to think about with regards to right and wrong and ethics. What's unethical? What's ethical? What's the right thing to do? What does it mean to have integrity? There's the big broad picture, which is like, and it's obvious, if you're involved in drug dealing and pushing drugs that harm people and make people addictive, that's not a good thing. Like, for the most part, that's a very bad thing. But then there's all the gray areas, all the nuanced issues related to, can you be a good guy but be kind of bad, a bad good guy? Or can you be a bad guy but sort of a good person? And what does all that mean? And I think it's really interesting. So, and I had a lot of strong feelings from Better Call Saul that I'm not going to get into. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there were definitely strong feelings about the characters and who's really good here, who's really bad. Assuming you've watched Breaking Bad and then you're going to watch Better Call Saul, you know Saul Goodman does a lot of not so good things. And I felt certainly that experience of like, okay, he's the main character. Should I be cheering for him? It's that whole issue with Walter White, where it was like, should I be cheering for him? No. But then, sometimes there's like a scene where you're sympathetic to him and you kind of want that person to succeed. But then it's like, okay, but he's still a bad guy. I mean, they're all bad guys. I mean, I love Gus. I love Gus so much, but he's still a bad guy. Anyway, I'm not describing it well, but you'll wrestle with all these issues in Better Call Saul. And that's all I got to say. And some of the videography, is that a correct word? Videography? Let's just say, once again, the writers of Better Call Saul, just like in Breaking Bad, the teasers will be something way in the future, or the teaser will be like something from like 10, 15 years ago, showing the background of a character. Sometimes the teasers are just like totally seemingly random until, you just know, and they just do a really good job of telling the story. And every once in a while, they'll just go back to the past or thrust in something from the future. And it's excellent. Absolutely an excellent show. And so anyway, here was one thing that I did after Breaking Bad, which I binge watched this year, 2025. It was like a month before I started Better Call Saul, maybe 6 weeks. And at first I was like, I don't care about Better Call Saul. I had a bad attitude. And on YouTube, they had some scenes that you can watch. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to watch Better Call Saul anyway. So I watched a few scenes and I saw one scene that I wish I hadn't. So it was a spoiler. I knew somebody was going to die. It wasn't the biggest deal, but I do encourage you, don't engage in any spoilers or, if you're not sure about Better Call Saul, just go talk to me in the comment section if you want. I'll talk you into it. All right. So, and I think the main thing about Better Call Saul was once you get rolling, I'd say the first 2 episodes, if you can get past the first 2 episodes and you're like, okay, we're rolling. It's the story of Jimmy McGill. And then it's that same feeling that you had in Breaking Bad where you're like, oh, of course I have to watch more. What's going to happen next? What crazy thing's going to happen next? You know what I mean? So anyway, that's my encouragement to you. All right. So go watch Better Call Saul. And it's a good series. I think you're going to like it. And I'm kind of sad it's come to an end. I know Vince Gilligan has moved on to other things, and I don't know about the other writers. I doubt there will be any more sequels or prequels, but I was thinking there should be a prequel for Tyrus. Remember Tyrus? He was Gus's right-hand man assistant, and he always had that black leather jacket, and he looked kind of mean and tough. And what about a prequel about Tyrus? We'll call it Black Leather Jacket, and it'll be the story of like how he grew up and eventually he got to Albuquerque and how he met Gus and how he's got into the black leather jacket scene. I think that would be just an idea, a prequel for Tyrus. Okay, go look him up. Tyrus and Breaking Bad. You'll know who. Anyway. All right, I'm just going to stop here. All right. Chuck, Howard, Jimmy. I call him Jimmy, not Saul. Okay. And then there's Kim. And of course, there's Gus and Hector and the Salamanca twins, Mike. Lots of great characters. I'm going to miss all of you. I'm very sad the show has ended. I don't know what I'm going to watch now. I'm so sad. Actually, we'll see. I'm probably going to watch Better Call Saul again, but I'm only going to watch 1 episode a week. So I actually watched Uno season 1, episode 1. And as I'm watching it on my laptop, I have a Microsoft Word document, and I'm actually taking notes because I want to really document all interactions with Howard and Chuck and Jimmy, because I think Howard gets a bad rap at the beginning. I think Chuck was very flawed, but he gets a bad rap too. Chuck at least was a reasonably decent human being, at least compared to Jimmy. All right, that's all I got to say. Anyway, I'm documenting everything, and I'm going to kind of index it because my working theory is Howard was never a bad man. Even though at the beginning it was like, he seems kind of fake, and there's reasons why you might not like him, but they're kind of superficial when you think about it. So anyway, all right. So thank you for watching. If you have any comments, any questions, feel free to ask. All right. And take care of yourself. Bye-bye.